I found out the other week that I've not pressed record twice on these things, and then it all goes to shit. So, happy days. All right, I've got notes and everything, John. I've got a prepared introduction, and I've got notes on stuff. And this is going to be like a new dawn for us. 2023, new quality stuff. Thresholds.
Let's do
you ready
it
for that?
Let's do it.
Sweet. Alrighty then. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Build It podcast, where we talk to US non-league soccer folks who know a thing or two about US non-league soccer, and some who don't, probably. Joining me from his bunker in DeKalb County, Illinois, is DKCU president, some say custodian, John Hall, fresh from the latest league conference call. Hi, John.
I want to know what you drank this morning that got that intro put together today. Hi, Nick. Good to see you.
I was on the whiteboard. How was that conference call? All good? League admin.
Super, just a super call. Great dialogue. I may sound like I'm being facetious, but honestly, we made a lot of decisions. We've got lots of new stuff coming up as far as league conference alignment. We've got some new partners for apparel and match balls, all kinds of good things. We've got all kinds of plans for expanding the season. We got a lot done in just over 2 hours or 2 hours last night. Lots of good stuff. Lots more teams to be announced yet that made it in before the application deadline for expansion. So the Midwest Premier League will be a little different and a little bit bigger here in 23.
Fantastic. That was a much longer answer than I was expecting, but all good. Thank you. Our guest this week is one Larry Sancombe. Hi, Larry.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
We're good, man. Thank you so much for joining us. Larry joins us in his official capacity, or unofficial capacity, I think, as sporting director. Is that still accurate?
That is correct.
Lovely. Sporting director of Christos FC, which I'm sure is a history name, a storied name that many of our listeners are familiar with. For those who aren't, I wanted to do this because I was so impressed when I looked at the wiki. The honour roll on Wikipedia is something to behold for a club that's been in existence since the mid-90s. 7-time Maryland Major Soccer League champions, 2016 USSA National Amateur Cup champions, and 2016 and 2018 USSA Verna Fricker National Open Cup champions. I believe that's fair. Lordy, from a club that's only won one or two trophies, actually one. Well done. I'm sure that's all down to you, right, Larry? You were playing up front. You were in goal. Yeah.
A lot of people have done a lot of work through the years to make us have those trophies. That's for sure.
I hear. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. If you would be so kind, could you just give us a little bit intro about you and your soccer story, and then we will go into the nitty-gritty of Christos themselves.
Yeah, I'm a guy, just like everybody in America, growing up like 5 years old, started playing, fell in love with it. I was a 3-sport athlete in high school, so I played baseball, basketball, soccer. Baseball was probably my most highly recruited sport. I tore my arm out, and then I got into soccer. And I was playing at a high level anyway, but I started really taking the time out and playing in it. Went to junior college due to messing around in school a little bit too much. Working class family. We didn't have a lot of means, so it worked out. I played really high level there, and played on top state cup champions, regional and just kept playing soccer all the way through. And then all the guys that went to college, we all came back together, and we formulated Christos, and that's how Christos came together. It was a bunch of us that all grew up and either played at club level, college level, high school level. That was kind of how it all kind of came together, and we built Christos out of that. So that's a little bit about how I got involved with Christos.
All good. Where's the name come from?
Christos is a liquor store. It's one of the biggest liquor stores in Anne Arundel County. It's our Jody and Jesse and Jamie Hayslip. They're the ones that actually started Christos, and they were really connected to Johnny and Nick, who are the owners of Christos. They're good friends growing up, and they became our first sponsor, which they gave us like $1,000, to play in the league. And it went all from there, building it out from there from day one. So they've backed us, they've helped us, and they've been our family since.
I mean, to have a club that's been around for as long as you guys have, the American soccer landscape is no mean feat, regardless of everything else that you won and all your successes. Just the fact that you're still kicking 35 years down the line is, kudos to everyone involved, right? You can take all the glory, but yeah, there's a lot of people involved, and we've all got the sob stories of the people that have come and gone, even in the time that we've been doing this. But all right. You strike me as a man of an age. I can see that you're a man of an age. When did you realise that kicking the ball around was no longer for you? Because it's a battle that John still has. He still claims he's available for flexion. So
it's funny you say that. Like I still play we're having our over 50 team this year. I know like some of the things that aren't they think we have the over 30s, we have the over 40s, and we have over 50s. So we as our brothers grow, we have teams for them. So I mean, our over 40 team has been kind of overloaded lately because we've had so many guys that are right at that over 50 age and are trying to move out for the younger guys in over 40. So it's a big move for us to be back into over 50. And there's actually going to be a state and regional and national competition for over cups this year. So we'll be involved in all those as well.
there's a thing back home. I don't know if it's a thing here. Is walking football, walking soccer a thing over here? Does everyone even know of it? No, okay.
Yeah,
it's literally like
Larry and I have been playing it for a few years. It sounds like
Yeah.
a lot of slow paced jogging. They actually started doing it here in Chicago. They tried, I think maybe it was last fall. They tried to do a little bit of walking soccer, and I guess it was kind of neat. I don't know. I didn't get involved with it yet, but
you were carrying your
not a bad thing.
All good. All right, Larry. I stole a bit from the club Facebook.
Yeah.
The tail end of 2022, the same as we all do, right? It's a year recap, and a direct quote. As of 2020, at the end of 2022, we won every state cup, won a league title in multiple leagues, started a USL women's team and a USL 2 team. We got a new place to call home, the Moose Athletic Centre, and we had a pro combine for our players to be seen by pro scouts, with 2 players drafted into this year's MLS draft. Just one of those would be enough for most clubs. Can you stop taking all the stuff from everyone else? It's people like you that is the reason the rest of us fail, right? How on earth, is it a coach? Go on.
No, you know what? I think we're in a kind of a bubble. When I say that, like we're in between DC, Baltimore, so there's not a lot of pro entities in the state. You know what I mean? So a lot of kids, they get we have a lot of kids that should be playing pro and they get missed. And we've had an abundance of really top level players. Our local clubs are very strong in the area, and there's a lot of good players that come out of those teams, and we've got a lot of connections within those groups, and we get a lot of those kids, and they play for us. And look, I mean, we're free of charge. None of our guys play any money. The only thing they pay is their initial due. Everything else Christos covers. So that's something different than most clubs. A lot of them have to have, money to operate, of course, but our sponsorship and stuff kind of cover our expenses to do that. And we try to make it where, we're bringing in, like, for example, like Ben Bender was, he was the first pick in the MLS draft a year ago. That's Christos' guy. He's been coming to our events since he was 17. You know what I mean? We knew Bender was going to be a really good player. His brother plays for us as well. And it's just, it's a family thing. And it's when we started it 25 years ago, this is where we're kind of a little different than a lot of clubs, is that we were all guys that played at a pretty high level. And then a lot of guys went into coaching. So every coaching staff, I believe, in the Maryland area has a Christos brother on those teams. And even now in the females, we're starting to move into that route, and we're building it out like that. So we kind of had a plan where, hey, you know what, we'll keep Christos going. And then we'll just, guys will just send players, what I mean? Like, you see, like UMBC, we get a lot of players there, Loyola. So we get a core group out of that group every year. And then we mix it in with, like, okay, Nick Richardson played in Maryland, this guy, and they come back, and they always come back and they play for us. So that's how we've kind of built it out through the years.
Was it difficult, like, when you were first starting, it's nice when you can say, I've got a bunch of guys that have come through here and now they're pros. I always think it's kind of like getting the snowball going a little bit. Like, you got to sort of need the first one, and then you got to tell that one story over and over. Like, what was the fortunate situation that helped you guys kind of get that first one, so you could start building a reputation as like the club in the area to come to?
Well, we had a lot of guys when Chris, like when Christos first started, the MLS wasn't, there at first, you know what I mean, and then it became the MLS. So there was a lot of guys in our local area that played for us that were missed, that would have probably played if they're a couple years older, you know what I mean. So, and then we started having guys that once they finished out their MLS career, they would play for us as well. So we started having that kind of core guys of like high level players. So the young guys like Ben, for example, Ben Bender's a great example, you know what I mean. Like he's not our first. But he was a great example of like he would go to Maryland, and then after he was done Maryland practice, he would come and practice with our guys. Nobody, not knowingly, so he'd be around the older guys that would teach him a couple little things. So he got a lot of education in that way. John Bell was probably one of our neatest guys that actually is in the MLS right now. John was a kid that was kind of not seen. He had a really good NPSL season with us on the left back. Super athletic. Very dynamic, but he's kind of like Ben. He just loves soccer. He never missed a practice. He showed up. He always freaking worked hard. They're the guys that make it. Like we have other guys that at times have been seen as like bigger value in that world, but they are the guys that don't make it. They don't show up. They don't go to things because they think they're better. They're not going to get hurt. The guys that make it, like this year we had Ben Stitz. Ben Stitz never missed a game for Christos. He came back. I mean, during the COVID time, he played at UPenn. UPenn was shut down. Dude, he played for Christos all year. He didn't miss a game. You know what I mean? And he wasn't starting every game on those teams, but he just got better and better and better. And I really think that helped him, get to where he is right now. And I think he's going to be a terrific player in the league.
So what is your, we'll get into it a little bit, but like, what is your club program? I know you got over 30s. What's your, do you have like first team, second team? We play in USL2. We play in the Maryland Majors. Like, give me the quick rundown of that.
Our men's team, we play in it's a new league. It's Maryland Super League, which is Maryland Majors has kind of faded away. So it's just pretty much the same dynamic. They're all good high level, amateur teams with a second division as well. So that's where our men's team plays year round. And then we have our USL and USLW teams. They're our tier, for the summer league teams. And then we have an over 30 that in an over 40, and now we're going to have an over 50 regular season men's teams. And then we play in the cups with all those teams. So that's where we lie. We don't get into the amateur game that much due to the fact that we're, we work with everybody. I mean, I think that's the key. If we go to one club, then really what we expect is probably to get club players from just that club. And they're really, to be honest with you, we never want to be that piece. Not to say that we wouldn't go that route, but it would have to be, there would have to be a major reason why we did.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a slippery slope with youth clubs and building relationships and not stepping on toes and all that stuff. That's a thing. Nick, you want to talk about USL a bit?
No. All right. The Facebook post alluded to it, but I believe 2022 was the club's first season professionally, for want of a better phrase, right? Or at least in the USL too. What instigated that shift up to a more recognizable level?
Well, we were connected with FC Baltimore, and we ran that operation for the last 2 years in the NPSL, and we went to the Elite Eight the first year, and we lost to who we lose to? We lose to that team out of New York. Anyway, they were really all pro players. We lost to them 2-1. We got a red card, and then the next year we went to the Final Four, and we were that year we got all our college players taken away right before we played the game. Bender didn't play. A lot of them. You know what I mean? So I feel that we could have won that year. But we didn't, you know what I mean? That's, how it is. But we wanted to get it to the next level. USL was definitely, we felt that was the next tier for us to get us, to even get us to more top players to bring in the Baltimore local area. Because we still had a lot of kids that were going out of the state to go play, in the USL to other places. And they still do that somewhat. But now we're keeping it home, in the area more. So that was our goal, was to keep more local kids. I mean, we don't recruit kids from out of state. So, I mean, really, this is about keeping it local, keeping it with our structure of family and friends. And to be honest with you, a big part of the thing when we have peak players here is about having fun and making them love soccer again. And then when they go back, have a good career, in their college. That's our goal with that.
How did you find the step up in quality? Or was there even a step up in quality, both on the field and of more interest, I think, to me and John, off the field in terms of admin and whatever else, back front office?
mean, admin was the pain in the butt. There's a lot to it. It's definitely more professional. There's a lot more that goes into it. But so that was that was definitely a learning curve for us, and we need to get a little better in that part. I will say that. Um, the playing wise, I thought, the top tier teams definitely, like it's a better league. There's higher level players in it. I think 44 guys got drafted into the MLS this year. So it shows you, the caliber of guys, that you're playing against every week in and week out. I think our group every year is going to be competitive no matter what. We have enough talent in the area to always be competitive and bring a championship. I'll be honest with you. I thought last year was one of our better groups, and we just didn't near the end. I think we just had too many players either injured or had to get taken. Like all the kids from Maryland, Penn State, a bunch of the school players that we have, got taken away early, and it just affects us. And we didn't use our men's team right last year. I think a lot of teams that do win it, they bring their men's team deeper in. We try not to do that as much, but like I saw like FC Motown over there, they won the NPSL. They're friends of ours, but they played with men's players all year in that group with a few college players in that. If you look at the roster, because we play against them, you know what I mean. So we didn't do that at USL. We didn't want to do that. We want to make sure the kids are getting seen and playing. So that's a big thing for us when we play in the USL.
All right. Then it's interesting that sort of it's a balance, isn't it, between like, are you in it to win it, or are you in it to develop these players and grow this pipeline and essentially sustain yourselves for another 5-6 years because you are established as a pathway for whoever's fallen through the net before them. It's like, if you don't win, no one wants to come to you. But if you play the quote inferior stroke injured stroke less available players, it's it's a tricky balancing act. And yeah, it was a revelation to me that players are allowed to be on different league rosters at the same time. I found that out the other week, and I was just like, okay, that's an interesting challenge because but well, and that's a podcast for another day. But okay, I don't want to reopen sore wounds, but you mentioned that the admin side of stuff sort of was a blow, not a blow to you, but it was a surprise to you. In what was it just sheer quantity, or like are there expectations of you as a front office that aren't made in an amateur league?
I think sheer quantity of what needed to be done was definitely a big thing, and then just having having the right people, and it needs to be more than one doing certain things where we thought we could handle it with maybe just one person operating certain things. So we learned from it. Like I said, like everything, you only learn from mistakes and what you didn't do right. And we feel like we'll make a better improvement as we move forward on it. You know what I mean? But on that end, hey, where they're trying to keep it as professional as they can. I think there's things that, like everything, like could always be better on each end. But right now we need to get better on our end on that part. That's a weakness on our end, I would say.
Are you all volunteers behind the scenes, or are people taking a wage as well?
Everybody ever has always been a volunteer except our coaches. We pay them a little bit of money for the summer. That's it. Nobody else. And then our people that do the announcing, we pay them as well.
Oh, hang on. Let's talk about that a moment.
No, he missed. I think he misspoke.
This is a lovely. Yeah, Larry, you and I will talk offline. This is interesting.
No problem.
This moves the needle for us somewhat. So, without like wanting to expose your book to the world and transparency, whatever, how are you guys funding this? I'm guessing like when a move from the Maryland to like USL, there's more travel costs, there's more overheads generally. How is all that being funded?
Well, what we do is we have a lot of sponsors. Johnny and Nick have been really great with us over at Christos. Like Modelo is a big sponsor for us. Tito's. We have. It looks like John Hopkins is going to be coming in. So we have quite a few sponsors that do a lot of that legwork for us. I don't think. Nobody pays on our team, like I told you. So our sponsors are pretty significant. We probably have, I would say, 10 different to 12 different sponsors that sponsor us. And a lot of
how are you? That's always a good thing, right? That makes the end of season party better, if nothing else.
Exactly.
How are you contacting them and maintaining relationships with them? Is that is that just like someone happens to be married to the marketing director, or are you actually going out there and pressing the flesh and, as John says, boots on the street?
Well, we set up meeting. John and Nick are, like I said, they set up meetings with us and we meet with them. And also too, we definitely do, look, we've had over 3,000 guys play in our program. So they're business owners, they're whatever. So we have contacts with them and we make contacts through relationships that we all have. And that's how we build out. I mean, look, the first 5 guys, I think, for example, if you ever heard of elite tournaments, Mike Liber is one of our brothers that's on our board, and he owns Elite Tournaments. He started it right when he played for Christos. You know what I mean? So, so the contacts there are deep. We were sponsored by Adidas. We just changed. Nobody really knows this. I'll let you guys know. You'll be the first. We're now Nike. Nike gave us a pretty substantial contract for an amateur team that doesn't have youth players coming in. So it's, Nike really, they reached out and did a really nice deal with us. So we're pretty happy about it. Really our sponsors are what pay for everything for us. And we're doing some events, so we're going to start doing that because the USL really, to be honest with you, last year we were really tight. This is the first time that we had a women's team, and really we weren't going to do the women's team initially due to the finances, but we said, hey, you know what, we got to get it in. We think it's the best move for soccer moving forward in the future. And so we're tight right now. I would say it's probably the tightest we've ever been financially. If we would have just did the men's, it would have been easy. But we have a relationship with our new athletic complex. The owner, we do some work with him financially and some 501c stuff. So we're working with the facility to help build that thing out, and it's been great.
What's much match day look like? Is it hundreds and thousands of fans? Is it
No.
fans, friends and family? What's it look like?
I think the biggest amount of people we had last year was anywhere between like 200 to maybe 300 at the most. Mostly it's about, I would say, anywhere 100 and below. It was first year. We didn't have bleacher setting yet because we're building that out. But that didn't really affect it. But one of the good things is we made a lot of money because we serve drinks and alcohol at the field. So that's a big coming out, and people in the community are starting to feel and understand where we're at and located now, because this is actually the first time Christos has really ever had a home facility. We've been based all over the place in the whole state, from Baltimore County to Baltimore City to Anne Arundel County. So this is not, we have a home base now. It's something to, every year we should be, moving our fans, building it up. We're building more relationships within the local area. We have some people now working for us, that are just phenomenal. That are doing a lot more reach out stuff to the community, which that's what we need to do, because we've really never been able to grow in a community due to the fact that we're never really playing there every day. You know what I mean? So that's been, it's kind of new to us.
Yeah, there's no doubt getting those contacts. And, I always I've talked to Bill Marth a lot, in EPSL and stuff, and talked about the density that you guys have in the East with all these major cities on a map that look like they're, 6 feet apart. It's just incredible the opportunities I would think you guys have with just player population and really, fans too. There's just a lot of people in the East, and to have those roots in a home base, I think you may really enjoy that, being able to kind of have a place, like you said, to call home and then start claiming your territory, so to speak, instead of being a little more nomadic and, well, we're here this year and we're here next year and we're here the next year. What's your week look like during whatever your spring, fall, men's season? Is it a couple trainings a week? Is it training on Wednesday nights, game on Saturday? What's that look like?
Well, in our men's season, it's kind of funny. Like we train every once in a while with our men's. Really, to be honest, we've had a lot of success because we've had such high caliber, and most of those guys play probably 2 nights a week at least, and then we try to throw a practice in there. That's pretty much when our USL team is, they're practicing 2 to 3 times a week. So that's where it's different, you know what I mean? And most of our older guys, that's the best thing. They'll come into that mix. They come in and train with them sometimes. So it gives them, that flavor of, some older guys that can teach them some things, and they build the relationships with those guys. So they know when, hey, some of these guys, this USL college career is kind of, that's it. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to the next level, even though they might think it, but they're not, and they have a place to come home, and, they know who they're going to be playing with, and they know the caliber is going to be good.
Yeah. That makes sense. I always find it interesting to figure out how do you stand out in the amateur soccer world, right? Like I'm in an hour outside of Chicago. There's a bunch of clubs in Chicago, and it's constantly challenging ourselves with how do we make our club stand out, where somebody will drive by those other three and drive out to come to our trainings and our game experience and the things that we do in marketing, and try to stand out in this like free for all of amateur soccer in the U.S., where you can train 6 nights a week if you want. You could not train at all, and it's all dependent upon your player pool and coaching staff and everything. It's chaos sometimes.
Yeah, I think, John, the biggest thing that we've had is our relationships. Relationships for us is where, like, do we know the next player's coming in because John is bringing him over? You know what I mean? I think that's been the key for us, and it's always been this family-based kind of relationship. You know, like I said, if one of my buddies calls me tomorrow and says, "Hey, Larry, I got a guy. He's good. He's gonna play." We know that he's quality, and he knows that he's the right fit for us, because he wouldn't just bring him in if he wasn't a bad character. First of all, one of the biggest things that Christos is, we believe in character. The end of the day is we want quality character kids. We've let go of guys that were fantastic players, but they just don't fit what we want. And if you don't fit, and good luck. And I'm not saying that you're not going to fit somewhere else, but for what we want guys that want to hang out, enjoy life, and our job is not just to create soccer players, it's also to create good people that actually are functional in society, and also help them get jobs. I mean, we have enough guys that are, in the over 50 that own companies, own whatever. And these are the guys that, we look to work for us and things like that. So that's where that lies.
Yeah, I like it. It sounds wonderful. I think some of the stuff I saw looking through your website and stuff, just the way you guys kind of word, it is very similar to what we're trying to do. Just very community focused, building good people. I like some of that stuff you had on the site about your mission, and I just thought, like, it just seemed like a good wholesome group of good old boys that like to go kick ass and then have a beer and win trophies and have another beer and just keep moving.
I think that's what we are. You know what I mean? I think that, and I think if we ever change that, I think then we'd be ruined. I think that's, we've had a lot of people come in and offer certain things to buy us, do different things. But the end of the day is, we have a board, and our board is all players. Nobody will ever coach Christos that has never played for us. Ashley, who's coaching the women, she actually played for me when she was young. She played in Maryland. She's like us, and she's creating the girls' atmosphere just like the boys are now. And you can just see it building and building. And that's what we want. We want people that say, hey, this is my home. When I go to college, I come back here and I get to relax, play great soccer with my friends, enjoy life, and then go back and go to the grind again. So that's kind of where we lie with that. And then our men's team, like you said, come out, play great soccer, go out afterwards, enjoy each other. And, where it goes, it happened. Sometimes you win national championships, sometimes you lose. That's just the way it is, but we feel that we can compete, and that's the key, being competitive. We always want to do that.
So what kind of like community outreach to do? What do you do to build your brand locally besides winning trophies? Is there any specific, other nonprofits you work with? What kind of stuff do you guys do?
Well, we started doing local. We don't like I said, we don't want to get into the high end, so we do a lot of little rec community stuff. We've started building out on that. We have like 5 rec programs in that area near our stadium that we work with, just doing little soccer camps and stuff, and even do some free clinics. So we've done some of that. We've done like a couple of governmental drives where we did like it was a all day practice thing for kids, letting them do that. We did that with down in Annapolis a little bit. One of our big things is we have on the agenda. We're with the Moose now. We're trying to work where we can facilitate an educational program where, because we have an inside facility, we have a room where kids can go, and we're going to work on, and we have the right people now that want to kind of financially back it. Is maybe do a program where we're going to offer some tutoring to kids that play in the rec leagues, that are 7, 8, that just need some little bit extra, and then they get a little bit of practice with our coaching staff. You know what I mean? So that's kind of that's our future with it. And building that out with the state police and different functionalities of it. So it's a work in progress, but I think it's going to be something that really is going to be kind of changes. And I say this all the time, Christos, we build relationships with people that we want to build relationships with, but we're not out there chasing what everybody else wants to do. We kind of have an idea of what we want to do, and it works for us. And, if we feel like it's a good fit, we're going to go with it. but we're not out. Like a lot of teams are out there and a lot of clubs are out there chasing the mighty dollar. I think that's why we work. You know what I mean? We know we got to pay bills. We know we got to keep it. But if we break even and we're doing the right things, like I said, we don't pay our players. We don't, you know what I mean? But we do help our players get jobs, and we have other, means to help them in other ways. So that's kind of where we lie. And that's what, like I said, we're not reaching, there's a lot of teams and stuff that are trying to build things, and, good luck to them. Cause I don't know. I don't have the exact, but if it doesn't feel like it fits what we're going to do, then we're just not going to do it. Even if it might be the greatest thing on earth for everybody else, if it doesn't fit what we need to do, to keep our functionality right, then that's kind of where we're going to keep it.
Yeah, I do a lot of sponsorship stuff for our club, and it's like the same thing. Like I'm not just about collecting checks. I want businesses to join that are, invested emotionally a little bit in what we're doing and believe that we're doing a good thing. And even if they can't afford to support us, maybe they can come to a game. Maybe they can connect me with somebody. It's got to be more than just collecting money, and I don't think that's a good way for a club to survive. I'm sort of a novice at this, but you want the sustainability of the community, and the sponsors are part of that community. But I think you want people to actually care about it. And when times get tough and businesses can't write those checks, you can disappear in a heartbeat. And what's interesting is you've got like this grown-up group of your men's team. Really, like the USL2 and the college guys is almost like a development team for your men, and then to do your 30s, 40s, 50s. I mean, you've got 100 plus players to reach out to when times get tough and say, hey, does anybody have a contact at a website company that can redo our website or whatever? Like, you just have a good network in the brotherhood that you can probably accomplish a whole lot just by asking for a little help internally, right?
Correct. Yes.
I love it. I'm moving to Maryland. Sorry, Nick.
Yeah. I sensed early on that you two would be kindred spirits and would get on like a house on fire. So I'm happy to sit here and just listen to you two chat on. But all these projects and community programs that you have and that you are planning and whatever else, is it just, for want of a better phrase again, the over 40s, the over 50s that are staffing them and making them happen, or are you leaning on the college players and your youthful custodians as well?
Well, our over 50s are ran by one of our guys that's over 50, and one of our over 40s is run by an over 40 guy. So we have those guys kind of monitor and run those programs. You know what I mean? So, and then the over 30s is run by me. That's kind of like, that's my group of guys that I coached back in the day, and in the next 2 years, somebody will take that over as well. That has coached that group, the next group coming in after that. So, I mean, the over 30 group is special for us because this is our year that we won the national title. It's a lot of those guys with 30s coming out. So it's going to be a pretty good group for us. And I mean, we enjoy it because we all get together, get to play high level ball. And then hopefully, maybe we'll win regionals and go to travel together because it's just a fun group to be around, and there's a lot of, there are a lot of those guys in the group that played against DC United. So it's a special group.
It's not insane, but it's an insane sort of network, like almost a reverse pipeline, right? The focus for so many clubs is, the youth team, the youth setup feeding the grown-ups, and as John's alluded to, it's almost like I know you're only getting them in at college level, but they're there really just to feed the drinking culture of the club, almost, of just like prolonging the longevity of this long established thing. And yes, you're helping the kids go through their college lives and get educations and pro careers or whatever, but the pipeline's going out the other side, and I've never heard of it in that sense before. It's great. I'm not knocking it. I just think it's such an interesting twist on the American model, so to speak. And more kudos to you. And I'm sure I doubt it was by design, right? You just happened that way of like, I just want to hang out with my buddies.
It was, and that's exactly what it was. It was just us having fun, having ideas, and look, and there was years like with Christos where we struggled, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I remember like when all of us, like the first original guys were getting older, who's going to be the next guys? You know what I mean? And thank God we had a couple guys coaching college. So we brought in a couple of those younger guys, but there was one year where we were merging together with another team because we were that tough. It was that tough at times. Guys couldn't play anymore that were playing regularly and things like that. And I remember like the club, I thought we were going to end at that point. And I remember, and I'll be honest, Mike Liber, who actually is the elite tournament, he was like, "We're not doing this. Like, we'll figure this out. We'll play older guys, whatever we got to do." And I give him a lot of credit, you know what I mean? And I love Mike. I don't give him much credit. That's funny. He's my buddy. But he did. He kept it hard on it, and we kept it together. And that was the next group of generation came in after that and did a phenomenal job. They won a couple championships, and they carried it. And then, we had like Steve King, who's actually was the assistant coach at Hopkins. He ran a group, and that group was like, I mean, they were playing good soccer, but they were coming in second quite a bit. And, so there was another team in the area, the Bays at the time, that were really, really good. And that were all ex-Christos guys, because we had so many young players come in and they broke off. And then they ended up being the better out of the group. And it just went like that. But then, like, King just did a great job of carrying that torch and keeping that together. And we've had, I don't know, 6 or 7 guys that have carried that torch through different times in our club's history, that if we didn't have that kind of guy or right there at that time, he was just the right guy. And, that's what keeps it together, because players come back to guys they like and people they want to be around. You know what I mean? And I think we've been very fortunate to have made the right selection through the years that we've needed to make. We've made mistakes, of course, but, we've learned from them, and, we're and it's made us better and stronger, and the relationships have gotten deeper because of the groups that we've had.
It's beautiful to see, frankly, because I know John comes from a background of like just playing rec soccer with old men, and again, I'm disparaging the over 30s. Jesus, I'm 49. I might as well be in your 50s team, but like just you're taking the rec soccer thing to a different level, and it's just amazing. I'm curious about to go back to match day stuff. I don't have any dealings with USL at all. One of the big issues we have at our level is live streaming. Obviously, we do it because but we do it. It's a league requirement. A lot of some of our rivals are less stringent with it. What setup do you use? Or because I'm assuming USL is a pre-mandated that you have to do it, right? So.
Yeah, we have a videographer from the DMV. It's called DMV, actually. He runs the Maryland Super League. He's actually great. Does really good filming. And then we have a guy, Christian, that actually does all the announcing and talking. And then we had a young guy, Dan, that works out of Syracuse on their and both of them work hand in hand doing the games. It worked out great. I mean, you can watch all of them. And they were on My Cujo, yeah. I think we put them on, or we put them on. Yeah, and they were great. I mean, it turned out a good job, and we have interviews for the game. So we're trying to make it a little bit more. Some of our other competition didn't do anything at all, which I don't like that, because like these kids, they have video. At least they can send it, they can do it, and that's what we want to get out of it. That's why we do it.
I think that's an interesting point of like, and I don't want you to name names, and I don't want you to like start a turf war or anything, but in the time that you've been associated with the club at various levels, and you alluded to it there, there will have been clubs that don't do it the Christos way, which is fine, right? We're not saying either you or us or anybody else is doing it there isn't a right way, otherwise the same team would win year on year on year. But do you see clubs making mistakes and you go, you won't be here in 2, 3, 5 years because you're doing that? And if so, what sort of mistakes are they making?
First of all, I think some of them try to start out bigger than what they are, and then they try to pay players. And they get caught because the only reason those players are showing up is because you're paying them. And then that becomes, a problem, because eventually you run out of cash if you're not making any, and you're definitely not making any in the amateur game. So I see that as a huge problem. I see, when I look at other things, like I think the big thing is like building it and not worrying about the results, but just steadily building it and building it with people that you're confident are going to bring it. Look, if I was building a team now, it would have to be different than when Christos did it. You know what I mean? Because we just came in all together, put in a team, and we're good to go. Now, money's gotten more expensive. Ref fees have gotten more. So you got to do a lot more to get to be able to have an amateur team. But I would look for connected people in the local area and find out where I could find. Really, main thing is getting the right players. How are you going to get them? What makes you different than the other clubs? And you got to find that kind of people. Like Lansdowne, they do a great job out there in New York. I mean, they have the way that I don't know how they do it, but they definitely do it well, because they always have good teams. They're always steadily building out. You know what I mean? look, Lansdowne and us, we'll have like an off year, but we're always going to be, competing in the regionals, competing in states. We're not going to win everything every year, but they're going to be competitive. Westchester, they do it way different than we do. I know that they have a club fee, within their group. They pay, every player pays a summer fee and a fall fee. You know what I mean? Whatever it is. But it works out for them really good, and they talk about a group. They have really good connections with their players. Blaze out there does a super job. He's a great interview too, guys. If you want to talk to somebody that really knows how to kind of move players, he's done a really good job of making all these connections with MLS, USL Champions League teams. I mean, we did a really good job of setting up this combine, and a lot of our players got looks that wouldn't have got looks now, or going to go to some tryouts, which, offering the opportunity doesn't mean they're going to make it, but at least they're getting chances, and we did that all for free. Our kids didn't have to pay for anything for that, which is usually about $480 just to get into a tryout. And that's not counting board and everything. So, it gives kids a chance.
You understand the point of American soccer is to make money, right? You do know that. You exploit everyone and just ride off in your Cadillac.
I agree, Nick. But you know what I always say? If you're doing something you love, the money will come. And if you're doing it right and you're helping the right people will help you. And they do. You know what I mean? Like, look, I mean, I'm not going to throw any names out, but we've gotten help by people that people would not even know, don't even want to know that they helped us. You know what I mean? That's huge for us.
Sure, yeah, it totally is. It's like it's when people like Adidas are knocking on your door, offering you stuff, then you're doing something right, and your profile is on the rise, and more kudos to you. Congratulations on all of it.
Thanks.
It just sounds like. I'll be honest with you, and I think I'm speaking for John here. This isn't the interview I was expecting to be, purely because I didn't know an awful lot about Christos. But it's been an eye-opener, and I am super intrigued by the setup and what the future. What does the future hold? What's the goals for 2023 and for 2025 and for 2030?
You know what? Just really, to be honest with you, our men's team is pretty set. I think I think we'll be successful. If we win, we win. You know what I mean? Like, I know that we're going to be competing and hopefully getting into the playoffs. That's our goal every year: get the playoffs, see how far we can get. Winning the state cups in Maryland is always our goal. I mean, we've won a bunch of them, and I think for the amateur, we won it like the eight straight years now. You know what I mean? So we want to keep that going. But for our women's program, that's my big one, is like to get them into the playoffs, have them starting moving forward into becoming this really big entity in our club. And they are. She really started it out, a lot of sophomores. So we got a really growing group that, they came in second in their group last year, and there wasn't as many teams. They would have made the playoffs. The team that they lost to out here is a women's club, which is really, they're a strong, great soccer club. So we got to catch them. And that's the goal, is to build out and be better than them. And if that comes along really well, I think that, we'll be happy. I mean, our success is that, hey, you know what? We had a good year. You know what I mean? Look, we got another kid drafted. You know what I mean? We had fun. We went to good events. We kept the budget down. That's a good year for us.
Survival is a good year. That's amateur soccer.
Right. 100%.
Yeah, totally. No, I appreciate it. It's been, yeah, like Nick said, it's been interesting. Just, it always gets my wheels turning when I talk to people that do things differently, and I go, well, maybe I'm overthinking things, or maybe I'm not. Maybe I never thought of that, and it's been good. I wish you guys all the best. I think you guys are doing a cool thing out there.
We appreciate it, John. Thank you. I mean, Nick, thanks for having us on. I mean, like I said, one of the biggest things I've heard you talk about COVID. You know what I mean? Like, during COVID, I had talks with everybody down the East Coast. We had meetings every night. We were talking about different things. A lot of these regional leagues that popped up and stuff due to the fact of that. But it was good because you got to talk to clubs and see what they were doing. And I think more amateur clubs need to set and get together and do that. Mm-hmm. Like I reach out in the Midwest. I talk to Bavarian guys. You know what I mean? Like, there's just little things that they do that's different than what we do, and it works. Mm-hmm. So I thank guys.
It's all about sharing. So thanks a lot, Larry. Appreciate it.
We just stick together, right? We don't care for the Bavarians because they win everything, and there's no fun for the rest of us. But you guys crack on with your fun, and just spoil it. But no, Larry, thank you so much for hanging out with us this afternoon. Best luck with your future endeavours. We got you out of here by 3:30, so crack on with the rest of your day. Best luck for 2023, and I hope we catch up again someday.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. You guys have a great one.
Yeah.
Thanks, my friend. Take care.
Bye, guys.